our generation isn't creating anything new.
I honestly have a love-hate relationship with those nostalgia videos. You're reminded of like such good times, but it hurts.
How does nostalgia serve us? Why do we always romanticize the past? Are Gen Z and Millennials extra drunk on nostalgia? And is nostalgia killing our creativity?
Bitch, what I was trying to say is this situation got me so wet and so dry at the same time. Exactly.
What's up, bitches? Welcome back to another episode of So Wet, So Dry. I'm one of your hosts, Fiji, like the island, like the water. I need a beta blockers prescription immediately, and I work in social media and marketing.
And I'm your other host, Autumn, like the season. I am very nostalgic about my past self, and I work in entertainment. So how does nostalgia serve us? This is going to be the main focus for this entire episode. Nostalgia is huge when it comes to film, music, fashion, and even just personal nostalgia of one's own past experiences. And a lot of people on the internet think A, it's killing creativity, and B, Gen Z and millennials are like past the normal amount of nostalgia. So there's a lot of mixed opinions going on again online. So what I want us to do is really just think about in the ways nostalgia serves us, good and bad, and really focus on that creativity piece. Like with all these art forms, we're having such a music moment right now in history. Is it based on nostalgia? Is it not? That sort of thing. So first, we're going to start by defining nostalgia, of course. And if you look it up in the dictionary, it'll tell you that nostalgia is a wistful or excessively sentimental yearning for return to or of some past period or irrecoverable condition. And Cole Hastings did a fantastic video essay on nostalgia entitled, "Why is Gen Z Obsessed with Nostalgia?" Really fucked with him. Like, really, like, we were locked in, me and him, the whole video. So a lot of this episode is inspired by sort of his video essay. And basically he kind of just defined it as like that warm feeling you get from reminiscing about your youth, like looking at like past toys that you used to play with, or like, you know, your old childhood house if like you didn't stay in the same house or whatever. But it's also regretting things of the past. Like nostalgia is not always this positive, fuzzy, warm feeling. And it actually derives from two Greek words, nostos, which is a desire to return home, and algos, which is pain, which clock it. Like it's literally pain.
It is painful.
From derived, yeah. And he basically says, you know, nostalgia is an oxymoron of feelings, which I really like. Like how much truth is there to nostalgia, which is something we're going to talk a lot about as well. And there's two different types. Like there's historical nostalgia, which is like reminiscing or being nostalgic about past time periods like the 80s, 90s, 2000s, even if you didn't live in them. You don't even have to have lived in them. You can be nostalgic about a historical period in time.
Right. I was born in the wrong era type shit.
Exactly. And then there's also personal nostalgia where it's like your life experiences. Like no one else is going to have the same personal nostalgia as you.
Yeah.
And then there's also reflective versus restorative nostalgia. So, reflective nostalgia was first described in the 17th century when Swiss physician Dr. Johannes whoever noted that, you know, this happened a lot when soldiers were stationed at war and then they would come home and there's obviously like a lot of depressive like symptoms, and that's kind of where it came from. So it says too, when the past is viewed through the lens of reflective nostalgia, we're typically closed off to the possibility of change and are reflecting back on old memories in order to seek refuge. So some examples of reflective nostalgia is going through a breakup, grieving the death of a loved one, experiencing failure, and struggling with mental health. And a lot of things about nostalgia, there's like this expression of like rose tinted colored glasses.
Rose-colored
the way I've
glasses.
never heard that before, and then
What?
every article said it. Like, I guess I have, but like that's not something that but I get it. Obviously,
Yeah.
it makes a lot of sense. So yeah, we talk, it's like, you remember this memory through rose colored glasses. And you forget like all the pain that's like associated with a lot of memories, which can feel blissful in an illusory way. And this is like the whole huge meat of the episode. So this is like a really big idea. I'm just like teasing it. People may feel restoratively nostalgic when celebrating an anniversary in a relationship. They wish to ignore certain aspects of the past or achieving success in their personal or professional lives. So just some different forms. What's up, babe?
Yeah, I'm just like, okay, the first part when you talked about the soldiers coming back from war, I was like immediately like it has to be like a trauma connection.
Right.
Because, and we were talking about off camera before starting this episode, I feel very nostalgic for parts of my past that were exactly like traumatic, not like being at war, but PTSD type stuff. But I look at them with rose-colored glasses and I wonder if it is like something to do with, trauma and not being able to leave that part of your life because like a part of you like died in a fucked up way. You know what I'm saying? So you're trapped there. Yeah. And then you're kind of like thinking back on that time period to make it better than it is.
Yeah.
Kind of situation.
And I think people do the rose colored things with things that are not traumatic and not that intense. And it's like your brain's like teaching you how to survive and like not really having you remember it that way. So when you like add on trauma and abuse, it's like scientifically proven. Like our brain will literally like erase certain things to protect us. Like that's how powerful it is.
Yeah.
And when it comes to nostalgia, like same shit. Like it's not trauma, but it's like we literally like will remember shit that's not correct. Like it's pretty fucking weird.
Yeah, because I remember one time, and this could be false, but I feel like I heard it in a podcast and I feel like it's real. I remember like when we remember something, we're not remembering the exact event. We're remembering our last memory of that event. So that's why, like, when you tell a story so many times, it becomes different after a while because it's, like, based off the last time you remember it. And, like, things change. And I have a fucking shit memory. Like, I can't remember half the shit that
too.
Right.
I smoke way too much.
Yeah. Drink, smoke, all that shit.
All of that. But, yeah, it's crazy. Like, the science is sciencing in this episode for sure. And, like, memories are super cool. But going back to Cole Hastings' YouTube video, he talked about some benefits of nostalgia. And one of them being it unites our identity, kind of unites a sense of who we are over time. He says you can obviously change your sense of self and who you are many times. Like we've gone through many different seasons of our life. And as humans, like it can be scary to us. Like I'm not who I was 3 years ago, whether it's for the better or for the worse. Like change is scary when you feel your identity like evolving. It's really exciting, but it's also a little bit scary because humans want to be in control of what's going on. And by inducing nostalgia within us, our brains help to remind us of who we have been and compare that to who we are today to look for continuity. And continuity within our idea signals some sort of control. So it's like nostalgia can help unite our identity.
But what if because we talk about that with ourselves, right? Like feeling disconnected from like who we were when we were in college. What's that? When you're looking for continuity, but you can't find it.
I don't know. But I think we can find it. I can find it.
No, I think
it for both of us.
Normally, like what we'll do to make each other feel better is be like, no, you are the same person that you were. You know? Exactly. Yeah. But sometimes you just like,
I know.
Okay.
I was like in the middle. But yeah, I know. And like, especially like that letter you wrote me, like whatever. Like, and that's why it's like, it's so beautiful to have other people see you because it can be really scary because we felt at times like, like there's nothing connecting me to that like really confident girl that was like so like armpit hair, like whatever, like damn, like she was so, but it's like that was me though, you know? But she also made a lot of bad decisions. Like, why am I romanticizing that?
Exactly.
So that's where it's like, it's so layered, bitch, as usual.
Yeah.
But another benefit that Daddy Cole talked about, I fucking love him, bro.
Daddy
He's like
Cole.
really smart and shit. He said it increases authenticity. Okay, so he said, reminiscing on our youth with admiration, we realize with our childlike confidence and align with who we are before the world told us who we are. People say, and like he also says, like research shows that nostalgia can actually increase creativity and motivate us to be our childlike selves who are fearless and limitless. Like a lot of people, like in light of the creativity conversation, it's like authenticity, creativity. Like to me, those things are like very interconnected.
Right.
And it's like nostalgia. It's like, you know, a lot of people, it's like thinking about your childhood, and it's like just that feeling of like not being afraid to like be yourself when you're a kid.
Yeah.
And kind of hurts. Like, obviously, I do want to mention, though, like, unfortunately, not all kids do feel like that.
Right.
And so I also kind of like, when I was looking at all of this like research about like this childlike mentality, I mean, it's just like my mind always goes there, but I'm like, some children don't get to be children, so what are they going to be nostalgic about, you know? So it's not a
But it could be
universal
the
experience.
same if you go through trauma and then you look
Right.
back with like rose-colored glasses.
And you
when
will,
it's
your
not.
brain will help you create some good memories, at least some, because
Yeah.
it's like, how can you, you know, live like that? So yeah. But anyways, also just like socially, it helps us connect to other people. Like there's all these TikToks trending right now, like POV, went to school in the 2000s. POV,
Yes,
you're going
I
to bed and
love
it's the
those.
90s. Everyone
and the makeup
does.
trend, and you can
yeah.
feel it. Like the 2016 ones, I love because 2016 was a good year. Like it was when we graduated high school,
Bro, and the way that, and people are obsessed with 2016.
I know, because it
Like,
was an
bad.
iconic year. Like Kylie Jenner, it was like the Drake era. Like it was. Yeah.
Until fucking Trump. But anyways,
Yeah,
that
but I
kinda
was also
just-
fuck Donald Trump. But it was also like because we were going conservative, there was still hope. There
was
protests
still
going
hope.
on. There was like a lot, like versus now, compared
Not
to
how
now
it
where
is
it's
now.
full conservative. It feels completely different. But
And there's,
in
like,
thinking
no-
about but in thinking about the creativity thing, I'm like, it makes sense that nostalgia plays into creativity also, because like, you know, pulling from your own life, like your own stories, like your past, like they always say, write what you know, like in a lot of the
Right.
writing classes I had.
Yeah.
So it's like, obviously you're going to think back, and we want to write stories about like our lives and stuff. And then you have to be
And it is
nostalgic for that
nostalgic.
era
Yeah.
to like inspire what you're going to write.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
I think, fucking spoiler, I think everything and anything inspires creativity. Creativity is always inspired by something.
Yeah.
Whether it's a bird that flew by or fucking nostalgia. Like it could be anything. So I just think, but yeah, spoiler anyways. This article kind of echoes everything and is like, nostalgia is a mixed emotion. Recent research, however, has highlighted positive effects of nostalgia, suggesting it is a predominantly positive emotion. When measured as an individual difference, nostalgia-prone individuals report greater meaning in life and approach temperament. When manipulated in experimental paradigm, nostalgia increases meaning in life, self-esteem, optimism, positive effect, blah, blah, blah. So like, yeah, like it's very like, you know, it's positive, it's negative, like, but there are positives to it. So these people are saying.
Yeah, because I feel like it's like sometimes like when me and you are together and when we were in Boston, like for New Year's, like
Don't
at the
bring it
beginning
up.
of the trip, okay, not towards the end, but the beginning of the
Oh.
trip, it was like a positive, happy, nostalgic feeling to think about
When we
us.
were in the city.
Yes, because I was like, this is great. Like, I love
Oh.
this time period. Like, I feel like my old self, like us when we first met, like, great time period. But I also feel like I, like, replay nostalgic periods of my life, like the traumatic periods, but I'm almost, like, replaying them to try to, like, make them make sense or, like, rewrite them. So, like, that
Yeah.
makes sense, too, how it's, like, increasing the meaning of life. Like, I'm constantly like going back to that nostalgic place to be like, what was the meaning? And sometimes
Right.
there isn't a meaning, but also sometimes that can inspire creativity because like you write your own story, you can create the meaning from it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And it's not like a bad thing to think about the past. Like, obviously, it's not great to be completely focused on it 24/7.
Yeah.
But I think, like, and not to be corny, but like that's low-key the key to life. Like, you have to like learn from your shit. And like, I do think like with nostalgia and the whole rose-colored glasses thing, it's like, unfortunately, like you are a little delusional when you're being nostalgic, and like these people having like a greater life because they're like leaning into that delusion that like, yeah, it was a great time period.
Right,
you know,
because
or
when you
whatever.
think about us, like me and Autumn, like romanticize like when we were in college, when we first became friends, like best friends and like strippers, and we were crazy. Like we romanticized that time period so much, but also like when I tell you guys, like we did not get out of bed and go to class. Like maybe once every like 2 weeks, like we would go to like 2 classes or something like that. Like
No,
we
it
were
was bad.
we
It
were
was
severely depressed. Like severely.
Like bad.
You
I
know what
know.
I'm saying? And it,
But, like,
looking
I'm
back,
like,
I'm
that
like, for
was
what?
so fun.
But looking back at the times we
because-
were out of bed, we were like, oh my God. Because I don't know. It's
Because
like
the highs were high, bitch, and the lows were
They were
motherfucking
low.
low. Like, the good times were so good because we were, like, struggling and, like,
we
our
were
privileged
bipolar.
ass. Like, I'm so
bipolar,
done.
BPD, something. Like, it was,
Yeah.
and we had less responsibilities. Like, I don't know. Like, they always say, you know, your college years.
No, like, that sounds like our privileged fucking asses.
Our
I
privileged
really thought it was
asses.
fucking hard.
And that's the thing that too, like we would beat ourselves up about, and like I still do to this day because like what bitch, we went to such a good school and wasted a lot. Like I look back and I'm like, I want to redo it because I would redo it better. But it's also like we can't help the fact we got
got so much from it. Like,
we did. We got so much from it.
I
But,
wouldn't
like
change
mental
anything,
health, bitch,
except for
like,
going to class more. Yeah.
Yes, I would go to class more and join more clubs.
And like maybe have like a little like be a little bit more particular on who I let like inside me or something, you know.
that part.
Like today still that tracks, but like yeah. I don't know. It's crazy. It's crazy. But yeah, we're gonna talk a little bit more about that too.
Okay.
But we are gonna pay attention a little bit to the negatives of nostalgia. And again, this is from Daddy Cole's video. You know, there's essentially this inevitable like gloomy feeling sort of hanging over nostalgia, even though it can feel positive and warm and fuzzy. But it's like, you know, it's so good because you're never going to get to relive that again or re-experience those times again for real. Like you can go back to the place like we did, but it's never going to be the same again. And, you know, problems arise with nostalgia when people really cling on to that feeling of it'll never happen again or I'll never feel this way again. And yeah, nostalgia comes with pre-installed like a little bit of delusion to help us survive, like I was talking about. And it's like the rose-colored glasses things. It's like our brains are remembering past memories, but purposely leaving out negative details of that memory as a means of survival. And this is actually something called the fading effect bias. And due to a combination of psychological factors, including the fading effect bias, where negative memories fade faster than positive ones, and the tendency to reminisce more about positive experience, leading to a rose-tinted view of the past. So again, this is like with trauma and like people that have PTSD and even in dissociative identity disorder, it's like the brain is like purposely like having you forget things and like forget trauma, but like this can even be for something that's like not traumatic like at all. And like for me, it's like the biggest thing that I like romanticize about the past is like my confidence and like how I was, but like definitely like my first relationship too. And I honestly want to ask you to like be for real for a second, because like I talk about that relationship like it was the best time of my life, and I do think that like part of it was, but like I wasn't even like that happy. Like wasn't I like wasn't I like I was like sad about the poly. Yeah,
you were fucking other people because you were sad. And I also remember you were like crying on the phone with her a lot, like the distance
like
was
remember
hard.
in New York when I had to like get up and like leave the restaurant because I like couldn't, she was like telling me like, oh, I did this with someone, and I was like, okay,
you
cool.
were like upset like constantly. Like
so,
I
like,
think
right.
she was like important lesson in your life for you to have and like pivotal moment. And I think that's why you get stuck on it, because like she opened your mind to like having
me.
armpit hair and like all this stuff. But like you in that relationship during that time period. And I feel you in a lot of senses too, though, because I think one, that was like what, your first serious relationship.
Yeah.
Your
ever.
first poly
Love.
relationship. You met in like Europe and came back to, it was like fairy tale
wild
in so many ways.
I think we were like so hot together, like prancing around Europe, like so hot. But like now, like like it's definitely like over. Like I don't feel anything towards her.
Yeah.
But like my old self was like so in love with her that I'm always just gonna like look at her like that.
Yeah.
But like I don't think we would even like vibe now.
But you wouldn't want to get back together with her now. That's what you're thinking.
Hell no. I don't think I harmed her, but I did have a lot of toxic tendencies back then.
Yeah.
And I feel like looking back, she's probably like, that bitch was tapped. Like, especially after we broke up, dude, like you remember. And I'm like, we can't talk about that on the air, but like on the air. But like, you know what I mean? So I'm almost just like, yeah, no, like whatever.
But I mean, that's all of us when we're younger. Like I blocked out like
learning.
my first relationship in college. Me and him had talked on the phone like a few years after we had broken up.
The one
and
with
he was like, yeah, and he was the curved dick, yeah. And he was like, "Are you okay now? Like, I think about you all the time." Like, and I was like, "What? Like, what is he talking about?" But then I was thinking, like, I was toxic as fuck. Like, there were time periods where, like, my depression, my mental health was so bad that I was taking it out on him.
And I put it on them.
And put it on him.
Too.
And, like, and that's why my thinking about nostalgia and everything like that in my abusive relationship as well is hard, because there were times that I was toxic as fuck.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But like that's how abuse works, and like all of that. There was so much about him in that relationship, as toxic, as abusive, as in and out of jail, as DV as it fucking was. He was someone that I created art with, that I moved from like Boston to Atlanta during the pandemic, that I went to Providence on the run when he was going through psychosis. Yeah, had nothing, like broke as fuck, stealing groceries from Publix to eat. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that is someone that I did that with, and like there is nothing else like that. So it's like, how can you not romanticize it? Think about like the time you spent with this person. Yeah. But then do you need that in your present? And that's what I always struggle with, is like, how do I move forward with all of the, like, the people that know me now presently in Atlanta will never know the Fiji that existed. Like, they can meet you, but even still, like, you're so different now that, like, and they'll never know the me that was, like, in that relationship. And that feels insane.
Weird. I know. I'm so much more grounded, bitch. I used to be like an Energizer bunny, like off the walls. Yeah. Just like,
you were weird. Crazy.
I know. Like, it was so fun though.
I know.
But anyways, to go back to Daddy Cole, he also talked about like, you know, sometimes relationships can be like so bad, for example, that it like turns you off completely. Like, we all know the feeling, like, you break up, you're like, I'm never fucking dating anyone again. Like, I know I've felt like that. Every single breakup I've ever had, I was like, I'm done. And sometimes you need to be done for a second. But more often than not, like for the general public, about like 3 to 4 months post breakup, like you do start to kind of romanticize that time and look back and think of how happy you were when you were a couple. And although this can be like painful and like hard and like kind of dark, it's also like the way the brain is like motivating you to like find love again. And be like, okay, it wasn't so bad. Like, being in a relationship was actually good. And, like, I do want that again. But, like.
But what about with that? Because this is I've been in a lot of on and off relationships. Yeah. Like, with the ex I was talking about. And then with the person that I was, like, dating situationship with last year. I feel like I would. And I had watched a TikTok talking about this. And it was like, you need to just get over that phase of romanticizing it. Because otherwise you're going to go back to them. And I would
or a
always get in
different
that
version
cycle.
of them.
Yeah, or a different version of the same person. Yeah.
That's what I feel like happened to me multiple times. Like,
Yeah.
you didn't go back to them because they didn't want me. But I found someone else that was like
That
kind
was
of the same
similar
vibes.
enough.
That's crazy. But anyways, lastly, obviously the past is not as good as we often thought it was, but what happens when your present reality has no evidence of getting better anytime soon? Well, that's when you start heavily relying on escaping into this romanticized past. Like, nostalgia is escapism, like 100%. And this, of course, like this whole thing like really hit in 2020 when people were like, it's not getting any better, and like whatever, they're romanticizing. And someone also did submit a listener story and says, nostalgia, there's kind of like an open-ended, like, share your thoughts on nostalgia. And they said it's something familiar, and in uncertain times like we're in today, it provides something. And so it's like nostalgia is like a coping mechanism when the world sucks.
And when we
To put
knew
it
what
simply.
Yeah, and when we knew what was like coming next, like, oh, now we're romanticizing 2016 when Donald Trump first became president, because there was still hope back then. You know what I'm saying? And like versus now it's like, what's next? And even I romanticized the pandemic, even though it was like chaotic and like whatever. I had hope in like moving to Atlanta in 2020. Like, I want
moved
that
to LA
freshness
during it.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like I feel like sometimes we're nostalgic for a time period where like we knew what was happening next, or at least we do now looking back, but back then we didn't know what was going to happen next.
And I used to just be like, okay, like when I'm like reminiscing, because like for me, it's like mostly like, especially because like I kind of like someone right now, it's not like about relationships for me. It's about like my, like me,
identity.
like my identity. Like that's what I'm the most nostalgic about. And I'm like, okay, like, but it was still you. Like that was definitely still you, like for sure. But now in my like spirituality, like I really believe in like jumping timelines.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what if that like wasn't me? Like what if that was a different version of me? And like then I really start to fucking
See,
lose it.
I feel like that with like trauma.
Like my whole body is like,
yeah,
what?
I feel like that with trauma, where it's like, what if I am permanently changed and I will never be a version of myself that like can be. I feel like I'm trapped in 2020, 2018 for the rest of my fucking, which is not true.
Right,
obviously.
but it can feel like that, and it's very valid. It's extremely valid. I think a lot of people struggle with that too.
Yeah.
So moving on, this article from the Medium says that the impact of memory perspective on nostalgia. And they have a cute little graphic that says, nostalgia, why do we need it? The past is not only a foreign country, but it's also one from which we are all exiles. We, like all exiles, yearn to return home from time to time. That longing is known as nostalgia. And then it says, those were the days when I could call a friend and get a business. Oh, wait, no, I'm not going to read that. Never mind. Okay, so yeah, what did you say?
I was just going to say, it reminds me of in college, I took a class where we talked about a lot of like immigrants or expatriates who like moved countries and like the nostalgia feeling for like home. Because it is very much tied to like your feeling of community, your feeling of belongingness, and like how a lot of like immigrants,
like where you've been,
exactly, have that feeling in a foreign place. And I do feel like that a lot still, even just like being in Atlanta. Like it's not the same as being like an immigrant and moving to a different country, but like sometimes you get like nostalgic and miss like the food from like home, like that I miss all the time. Like my god,
so real. So a quick quote from the article, they propose the question, what does science have to say about the nuanced emotions wrapped up in nostalgia? And basically, a study recently published in the journal Frontiers in Psychology takes a deep dive into the connection between memory recall perspective and the emotional consequences of nostalgia. It challenges the notion that nostalgia is purely a negative emotion, revealing its multifaceted nature. Nostalgia, as unveiled by the study, goes beyond mere reminiscence. It acts as a reservoir of meaning, boosting positive affect, enhancing self-regard, and fostering social connectedness. Our nostalgic recollections often portray ourselves as central characters in a meaningful social context, painting an emotional canvas filled with positive memories. So I just liked that. And like, it's giving, like, when you are nostalgic about the past, like, it's definitely giving main character. Like, why am I, like, you know? So listen to that episode if you guys haven't.
It even reminds me of how we want to write like a TV show about a time period in our lives, because it very much felt like we were in this social context of like a cast of characters, like group of situations happening, like play it back as a movie, like.
And you know what's so crazy? It's literally like anytime anything good happens, it's like I try to think to myself, like, remember this because one day you're going to romanticize it or like think about it weird or like, like, I don't know. Like, fuck, this episode's hurting. I feel like I'm getting really Matrixy right now.
Right.
Like, I'm just like,
I was like, bro, this
real.
is a deep topic.
Like, if we can't trust our memories, like, what are we supposed to? Because, like,
but that's
I don't
why
think
you
my
need
memories
other
are
people.
trustworthy. Right.
And I think that is why it's so important. Like, because sometimes, like, I'll isolate and I won't tell Autumn or I won't talk to my therapist.
And I do the same thing because I don't want to hear what you're going to say
another person's
sometimes.
Perspective. Exactly. At the end of the day, I can make my own decisions. But I need someone like you who has a different memory to ground me in some sort of reality. Right. And same with my therapist. And, like, you know, like, the truth is somewhere in the fucking middle. Like, I believe, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
I don't know.
Because at the end of the day, it's still my perspective, but like arguably,
right,
when I was present in the room for like traumatic things, like it's like my memory like would be a little bit more. But honestly, dude, like the real tea of it is I think I romanticized my first girlfriend so much because she is the only one out of anyone I've dated where our core values about the world were the same. Everyone else I've dated, it was always like, oh, we're just different.
Well, you thought you had core values with the man because of the whole sex work angle. But like it changed. Like, and I think part of that was like, as we talked about, like naivety to men because you had only dated women.
Right. I was like,
and I wasn't in your life, which I fucking feel guilty about because I'm like, bro, like I feel like I could have. But at the end of the day,
he was so excited to tell you that first time. I was like, yeah, I'm like seeing a guy. Like,
and I was like,
you were
what?
like.
Okay, guys, so switching gears back to the episode topic, we asked you guys, for the most part, does nostalgia bring you happiness and motivation or sadness and feelings of regret? And this one is really close, 50-50-ish, 60-40, but we have happiness and motivation at 59% and sadness and feelings of regret at 41%. And bro, I am sadness.
Right. Because I feel like we feel all of it.
Yes.
We feel all of it, but what do you feel the most? And you think sadness, feelings of regret.
Because I think of my, like, the happiness and motivation, like, I felt that in Boston with you. I feel like I feel it mostly with you because you're the friend that I go back with the longest, like, all of that stuff. But, like, the sadness, feelings of regret, like, I think of myself, like, when I start to get depressed and I start to, like, drink by myself and think about my trauma, that was a good period of my time. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I think.
Yeah. No, and I honestly like had a hard time answering this. I think it is sadness for the most part, but I don't think it's feelings of regret. I think it's wanting to relive time periods. Like I don't regret anything. Like I think I popped off. Like,
I don't
wish I popped off harder.
I feel you. I don't regret things that I did. I regret things that I didn't do.
Right.
You know?
Right. Exactly. I really don't regret anything I did. Like, honestly. Like, it builds character. Like, I don't give a fuck.
Looking back, I'm like, do I regret being a stripper? No. Do I regret dating the abusive guy?
I would never regret being like that. Right. And I wish I could do it again. Like, I wish I could do it for the first time again, back when I was like,
I wish I could do it better. Like, I wish I had done a lot of things better. But, like, also part of that is delusional because I'm like, okay, could I really have done stripping at 19 better?
No.
What does that look like,
I think we did pretty damn good. Right.
Right. Like, we probably shouldn't have been, like, we were below drinking age. Like, we were munchkins. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what does better look like? Like, that requires a certain level of, like, life experience and whatever that, like, I was never going to have. But again, still don't regret it. But should I? And that's another question. Like, maybe it's, like, my own brain, like certain things I haven't learned the life lesson yet of like, oh, that's a bad decision versus that's a good decision.
But I do think that like with like who we are and like our identities and our characters, I don't think we're ever gonna have any regrets.
Never.
I feel like that's
we
just
wouldn't
very
be here
us.
with this,
If
we didn't
wouldn't
live life the way we
literally
have.
stripping at 19. We were the Bop House girls minus the BBL.
No, we were the Bop House before the Bop House, bitch.
Yeah, and we got hate for it, guys.
Yup.
And we're already talking about it, but we're going to focus in a little bit more on romanticizing the past. So my bad, Fiji. I know. Like, I feel it
This
too,
is
bitch. Like,
when you
it's
like when
not-
I saw the polls, I was like, is she trying to kill me?
kill me?
Like,
I wonder if anyone else felt like that. But the New York Times, because I got a subscription for Christmas.
Yes, bitch. Okay, love.
So I can literally, like, anyone that needs an article, like, I got you. But,
yes.
they did an incredible piece.
Beautiful.
They did an amazing article called Why We Romanticize the Past. The good old days. Were they really that good? And they talked about that fading effect bias that we went over. And they did describe it as a coping mechanism and said, you know, you have to carry your past with you. There's no way to not. Like, there were things that happened and they happened. You got to carry it with you. And if a memory hurt like hell, like you wanted to die every single time you recalled it, which can happen, as much as when you experienced it, that would be unbearable. So it's like the brain is literally like, it wasn't that bad. Like, it's okay to romanticize it because it's trying to protect us trauma and otherwise. Like, even just like you fucking like did something hella embarrassing, like tripped on your face. I think it's so funny when people fall in public places. But sorry, I just got the giggles real quick. But like, if someone like you trip and then you're like, fuck, like your brain will be like, it wasn't that bad. No one
like,
saw.
it was funny.
Like, it's not even always that deep. But like, obviously, like with heartbreak and trauma, it's like I've definitely like recalled a memory and it did feel like I was gonna die.
Well, no,
It hurt
like
so bad.
I have a really bad problem with like thinking like the most traumatic shit in my life is like funny. Like,
Right.
I have a
I get
problem.
that.
Like, I
Yeah.
think back on like certain shit and it is like hilarious to me. Like,
Babe.
no, like when my ex got like locked up for certain stuff and like whatever, like the next day I'm like dying laughing over what happened
Yeah.
because like, you know,
You guys would laugh.
we
a
would
lot.
laugh about everything. Like, we would laugh about like when he had a crash out, like a bipolar whatever the fuck crash out. We would have to laugh about it the next day because you don't identify with
Right.
what happened, like,
And you
know
can't
what I-
explain it.
and you can't
so-
explain it. So like I get this shit like bad.
Yeah. I mean, like, I don't, like, my moms do that shit all the time. Like, something tragic will happen, and they'll just be like, you gotta laugh. It's like,
Right.
it's a thing. Like, it's
You have
definitely
to
a thing.
laugh because what are you gonna do? Cry?
Yeah. You can't only laugh. Eventually, you might
Right.
have to cry a
I
little
know,
bit.
like my therapist is like, can we, and it's again, like the taking things seriously.
we-
Can we take this seriously? Can we
Right.
act
Ugh,
like,
fuck. But therapists always be saying that shit. Like,
Right.
I'm trying, ho. Like,
Right.
I don't know. But a little bit more, the article says, our general tendency to recall positive memories over negative ones is especially pronounced when we feel discomfort in the present. So again, this idea that nostalgia is at a all-time high when your life sucks. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's obviously when you're going to
but what about
romanticize
when
shit.
it's decent? Because I feel like my life is, I don't know. I feel like
Right,
I can't
but
remove
looking...
No, go.
No, I was just going to say, looking at your life as if I didn't know shit and I just like saw, like, you're really, like, I meant it. Like, I really think you're like stepping into your power right now. But also I'm like, how though? Like, she's not doing well. Like, she's hurting. But I do think two things can be true at once.
Well,
because
and-
at the end of the day, bitch, like, you're doing great.
Am
Like,
I?
you're working, like,
But
you're
that's
picking
the
up.
thing. But that's the Fiji thing that I feel like
Right,
is my
it's a
entire
mask.
life is
Yeah.
that I am keep a job, be the best person at my job, be the most social bitch in the area,
Function.
go out, blah blah blah, dress good as fuck, but be emotionally fucked.
Right. Because
You
you don't give yourself time to like feel it and then it crashes.
Because then I'm like, I'm living in all of my life. But I feel that's why I'm like, what is this? Because I feel like my life is so good in so many senses that I need to make it shit.
Right.
And that, like, it's self-sabotage. You know what I'm saying? Because then I get alone and I'm like, actually, I can't let my life be good. Let me fuck it up.
Well, you know what it is for me too is like, honestly, like, quote unquote, life being good is a terrifying like idea, because if life's good, what are we working towards? Like, I feel like when it's bad, I'm like, all right, like shit's bad.
We gotta
like
fix it.
I feel comfortable. Like I'm like good because I'm gonna like work out of it. Like it's way more comfortable for shit to be bad for me. Like when it's
literally.
good, I'm scared and paralyzed. I don't even know.
And bro, like when the second abusive shit happened to me, right? Like I had this false sense of like, cause I felt like my life was going good for the first time. I was like, my life is going good. And then when your life is going good, you have the ability for something to come in and fuck it up
at any moment.
And it's like, realistically, is everything fucked up? No. Like, did I lose my condo? No, I didn't. I just lost a couple pieces of furniture and a couple holes in the wall. Like, it's fine. But like, you know what I'm saying? In the scheme of things, like it wasn't a tornado. Like, you know what I'm saying? But like, you feel like in your brain, oh, my life was good. And then said event fucked up my life. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
and you give it like a lot of power. Yeah.
But did I feel like my life was good? I guess I did. I kind of did feel like my life was good.
Makes me want to cry.
Because right now I don't feel like my life is good.
I know.
Do you
feel like my life is good?
Yeah. Is life good?
I feel like I'm not living to my truest potential at all. So no. Yeah. Like, it's fine. It's tolerable. Like, I'm not sad. But
you feel like when I think about things like the podcast, like, I'm like, we're doing good. Well, like, our metrics aren't as...
Right. Like,
but
you
then,
guys
like,
definitely need to listen more.
Like, we'll do things where I'm like, oh, like, this is good. Like, I'm reflecting on where we were.
Right. It's so much better than where we were.
Yes. So that's good.
That's really good. Yeah. And, like, I don't want to die, like, at all. Like, I really don't. Like, I'm down. And you're like, yeah, I can't relate.
Yeah, I don't either.
I mean, I'm not afraid of it happening. But, like,
if it happens.
Push. Yeah. Guys, sorry.
All right, we're getting dark.
If this
Let's
is
move
problematic. On. Yeah, okay. Anyways, okay. Oh, yeah, this I liked this part. It was like, so, okay, the process of recalling the past is always dictated by, quote, the perspective that we're coming in with and the questions we're currently asking about the past.
Okay.
Your brain's going to be, and you're going to be like, oh, yeah, that's perfect. Like, that aligns. That's exactly what it is. Like we're like not, like, I don't, like, we can't really trust ourselves.
Oh, at all. But that's why
that's why we need each other.
And I feel like I've known that because, like, I've always loved reading, right? Like, I don't love films and movies in the way that I love reading. I need to get back to it. But, like, I remember from a young age reading fiction, reading stories, and I adore an unreliable narrator. Because
they're
I
so
relate.
kind.
And like now knowing that I'm bipolar and stuff like that too has put things in such a different perspective, because it's like that, like, not identifying with yourself in different time periods, because it's like, oh, like that wasn't me, that was depressed Fiji, or that was me. Like, you know what I'm saying? You don't identify with yourself, which I feel
like that was Jackie, that was Onyx,
right?
Like all the other names we had.
That was May, like that was all the different names that we've had.
Right.
Exactly. So it's like we can't trust ourselves. Like, we just have this brain going.
Right. I know.
And
we like need to though, dude. So I'm like, we
need to trust our intuition, but like,
yeah. And like that inner feeling and whatever. But I also think like rely on community to like provide like realistic descriptions of like what was actually like going on. Because
sometimes you can't.
I know. And what if no one was there?
What is the balance, though, too? Because it's also like, oh, you have to listen to your gut, trust yourself. But what if, Like, or, oh, don't, when you want to get into bed because you're depressed, you should do the opposite.
Yeah, you always say that.
But when do you listen to yourself and when do you not?
I know, it's really hard. Yeah, it's like, oh, well, you got to listen to that one because
But
blah,
not
blah, blah.
this one.
Yeah, I know. That's annoying. Yeah, I feel that. All right, so in line with everything we've been saying, Face Tap Philosophy did a video, the real reason everyone is so nostalgic now. And I just want to talk about, he talked about like a personal experience, like with nostalgia for him. And I just want to share it because like it aligns with everything. And you've watched him before, right?
Yeah, I love him. Yeah.
Yeah, he's really good. He's kind of daddy too, like with the tats and everything.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. But he talks about how, so he had a lot of bad memories and experiences in the town he grew up in. So like a lot of people, you know, once it was time, 18, he moved out of state to like specifically escape all those memories. And I really relate to that. Like, I know it's like hard for you guys to believe because I'm like so cool and smart. But
right,
like, I was like bullied a lot in high school for like being like a fucking whore. Like, you know, typical shit. Like we both were, but like it was like, yeah. Anyways, so... And then he said about 2 years later, he found himself feeling really nostalgic for certain memories in that environment, in that town he grew up in, and even started to romanticize them. He said there was a soft comfort in the sadness of the past, and he thought he was remembering an accurate version of it, but it wasn't. It was watered down and distorted. And he said once he went back to this town, he was able to kind of like work through it for real and be like, okay, like this idealized version of the past is actually not the truth. And even though that might be like sad to be like, well, actually, no, it was like really hard. It was like meaningful for him. Yeah. And he said once those idealized memories are met with what actually happened and you're like in the physical space in which they did happen, it's like it was hard to idealize them anymore for him because, yeah.
You know what it made me think of? Like our male validation episode and talking about like, remember there was that like looking for creative men because you don't like you are really the creative person, but you're seeking it out in the other people, like,
and you're like attracted to that because you want to be that,
right? Like I almost feel like for me, like sometimes like I'll use the example of working out. I can't really like, I have a lot of dreams sometimes about playing soccer. Like it's weird, like I'll always have dreams about like me on the soccer field, like playing soccer.
Killed to see
and I
that.
loved playing soccer. Like playing soccer was a huge part of my life. Track, working out were huge parts of my life. And I feel like I lack that now. And I talked to my dad about it one time and he was like, well, one, it's the community factor. And like, two, it's also the physical, like working out factor. So it's like, maybe I'm being nostalgic for that because I need something like that in my current life. Like I don't need to go back to like Fiji in high school, like playing soccer and like reach out to those friends, even though like I did have good friendships with the girls on the soccer team. It's that I need to find something like that in my current life, you know? And the same with like seeking out like a creative guy, like a creative person that you're falling in love with that's a problematic person. You're seeking that out because like you're lacking it in yourself,
right?
Sort of thing. So like you go to these like emotions, these nostalgic places because you're looking to fill a gap in your present day, maybe.
And in that way that you're describing it, that sounds very motivational to me.
Yeah.
I think it is motivational.
Because you can flip it, and instead of being like, oh, this time period was so great and I'll never be back there again, you can look back at the time period and be like, okay, like what was I doing back then that I don't have in my life right now? Like maybe these aspects, and you can't have it all. We can never have it fucking all.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But like, what can you take from that time period that needs to be in your present day to make it better?
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like it's kind of cool. And like this directly goes into like the next poll, but it's like, you know, we both feel like we're people that like spend a lot of time thinking about the past, spend a little bit of time thinking about the present, and spend 0 to no time thinking about the motherfucking future. And I'm just like, but what if, dude? Hear me out. Hear me out. This is going to sound really simple to some, but I'm just like, what if like we can channel that nostalgia but like do it again and like do it better? Like, it's not too late, babe. And I was gonna say like kind of like how every relationship like tops the other one, but that's not really true because I feel like I've had relationships with like the last bitch was
like
better.
You watching you and like
Right.
throughout your life, like
how I behaved in said relationship.
Yes, and especially even now with the person that you like and like watching you interact in like real life situations is completely different than how you used to be, and that's on growth for you. Like fuck whoever it is that you're dealing with, like maybe that needs to be worked on in certain senses, but who you are and how you show up has changed a lot, and that is a lot to be like proud of, you know? Right.
Yeah, I know, and that's crazy. And you too, babe. Like you too, 100%. I know
just the same
you don't feel that way.
Yeah.
I know, but the way you handled it was beyond different. Like you like sought out help immediately after.
Yeah.
Back then, you would have been laughed in someone's face like, fuck, no, I'm not doing that.
I just kept going, yeah.
Even if deep down you wanted to. But yeah, it's like that. That is so true. Like relationships are between two people, but like how you evolve and like who you are in relationships is like really fucking important and like really cool. And I'm still definitely not fucking perfect, but I do feel a lot less toxic than I used to be. But I still like the jealousy thing is like bad. Yeah. I feel really jealous about a lot of things. And I just keep it to myself,
like a normal
though.
Human, but you've also been in a lot of polyamorous relationships,
right?
Which is like, how do you avoid that jealousy? Like that's real as fuck, bitch.
I know, bitch. I know, but not like, you know, if they like smile at the mailman, like we need to calm down,
right?
But even I'm like, anyways, no, it's like a joke, guys. But we asked you, do you spend more time thinking about the past or the future? And again, we are very 50-50, but the future did win. 55% said future, 45% said past. For the people that said future, if you guys could please email sowhatsodry@gmail.com with the O's or zeros and like let us know like what that feels like.
Can I talk about this
because
for a
I
minute?
don't,
Can I talk about this for a minute? Because there's a good subset, like a large subsect of people in the underground that are creatives, artists, whatever, like us, that will, and people I've dated that are like, I can't wait until I have the mansion, the cars, the blah, blah, blah. Like, they can see it. I can't see it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and it's almost like I look at them like, you are delusional.
Delusionally see it, but
like,
do they see it deep down?
But they have to, because sometimes these people are creating shit music or shit whatever, but they really believe that they will be there. And like, we are delusional about a lot with the podcast, but like, I believe it, but I don't
just feel like for sure it'll happen.
Point.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think about the future like for real, like besides like, I don't want to think about it.
Right. Like best case scenario, it's like we're able to like just do this and not have another job.
Yes.
But the idea
that's what
of
I'm
us being
with.
Like top level, like fucking
I don't
famous,
even know if I want that.
Yeah, me the fuck either. But I do want the money that comes with
I
that.
want the money, yeah. But can you picture it? Like,
I mean, like honestly, like as a theater girly, like no, I don't think I feel like I'm like I've like
okay, if we're
like,
talking
cool.
about it right now, I'm like, can you picture it? Like, yes, you can picture it.
Babe, like
but
when I look at you, when I look at you and think about us together, I can picture it.
Yeah,
you and me together, I can picture it. I don't picture me going off on my own and like, you know.
Yeah, no, I can picture it for us. I can picture the book. I can picture the movie.
It's easier for me when you're involved. That.
Yeah, same.
Like, because I believe in you a lot.
Same, but like I need you around to believe that, and like it needs to be in specific moments.
Yeah,
like
I know.
On a day-to-day basis, I'm not like
I don't believe it.
Right.
Yeah,
I'm just like, when's the next episode?
Yeah, when I'm apart from you, I'm like, what's going on?
What am I doing?
But the second we sit down and record, I'm like, oh yeah. This is like we were totally meant to do this. Like,
right. But no, again with the beta blockers and going back to that conversation, there's a whole lot about the future that I need to evolve.
Can't even imagine because you don't see yourself doing it.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. But it's like at the end of the day, It's just so crazy. Like, I believe you. And I have, like, seen it a little bit. Like, your anxiety, like, come out when it's, like, that sort of situation. But I know it's not as bad as you think. It's not as, it is as
It's
bad
not as
inside.
visible.
Yes.
But none of my shit is.
But it doesn't even matter.
But, like, even how we were talking about, like, oh, my life seems great, but, like, I emotionally am a wreck. That's, like,
That's
of
like
my
a
life.
theme of your
Everyone
life.
is like, what are you talking about? Like, you're good. And
And
I'm
then
like,
they make you feel
no!
kind of crazy. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Damn, babe. Does anyone relate to that? Comment fucking below. That's crazy.
We have to, like, mental
No,
health.
I know people do, but it's like,
you
that's
do
so
too.
important.
I mean, and we gaslight ourselves, like, when we're like, oh, like, we're so privileged. Why do we feel like this? I mean, we are, and it is ridiculous to think about us at Emerson, like, being like, I can't go to class. Like, it's like, bitch, come on. Like, get the fuck up and go to your fucking class.
It's literally
but it's like,
$250 a class.
like, come on.
Well,
like, go to the
did
class.
the math. Yeah.
Yes.
Like,
go to the fucking class. But it's like, again, like, your brain, it's you versus your brain.
right. I'm not a good
And
place
we're not
to
winning.
be.
Yep.
But we also asked you guys an open-ended question. Why do you think nostalgia is so easily romanticized in our heads? Someone said it's an escape from our current reality to a place where our responsibilities were simpler.
Yep.
Someone said not only in our heads, also in society due to framing, not including the whole context.
Okay,
What?
yeah, true. Because it's like the rose-colored glasses situation.
Right,
Like,
okay.
The frame, you're seeing the picture and you're like, oh, I'm looking at it in this snapshot, not including all
the whole
mess
context.
that's outside. Yeah.
Yeah, damn. You guys like fucking know this shit.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And then someone said, because we hold on to memories, which we do. Like memories, core memories, if you guys have seen Inside Out, like core memories
that fucked
like
me
form
up.
your identity, like for real. They
Fucks
do.
me up. Is that how
it's
our
all about
brain really
perspective.
works?
Yeah. Yes, babe. Oh, you know what? When I was in AP Psych, like senior year of high school or whatever, and this was when Inside Out came out, the first one, and we watched it as like a unit. Like it is like accurate.
See, this
So the
shit,
scientists
like,
say.
did I take psychology? If I did, it wasn't good because I feel like I'm very behind in realizing like I've experienced anxiety before. Like, you know
Right.
what I'm saying? Like,
Right. Yeah, I know. And did you see the second movie?
I saw that. I haven't seen the
Anxiety's a whole
first.
character.
I've
Oh,
only
okay.
seen the second. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Now we're going to transition and talk a little bit about this idea that like Gen Z and millennials are peak nostalgia, bitch. It can't get any more nostalgic than the fucking Gen Z and millennials going crazy. So we asked you guys, do you think that these two generations are more nostalgic than previous generations? And 73% said yes and 27% said no. And like, really, it's like, you know, the like obvious argument is like, well, everyone feels that way. Like, you know, every generation is going to think they were the most nostalgic, like blah, blah, blah. So we're going to kind of get into it, but it's like, is because of like when millennials and Gen Z like lived specifically in the world and like all that's like changed with like technology and like we really were a generation that like, you know, we like went through it for sure. Not to say other generations didn't, but like I do feel like I don't know. I kind of think they are, but I also feel like
so
I don't
too.
really know a lot about the boomers. Like I don't know what they're into. Like
Yeah, I kind of wish that I had a take that was the opposite than the norm, like how we did with the aesthetics thing. But like this one,
Right.
I'm like, yeah, because of all the technological changes and also just the massive amounts of media that we're exposed to. Like we can see pictures of the 90s, the 80s, the early 2000s. Like
yeah, they couldn't
easily.
really see that
They
before.
can't see that as much before. They just hear their grandpa talking about, oh, back in my day. And it's like, all right, buddy, pack it up. Like, you know what I'm saying? Versus us on Pinterest. Like, oh, like, whoa.
Literally like 80s lookbook.
Yeah, because like
fucking-
that's so sad that like we get like a repackaged version of the 80s and we're like, this is so cool, but listen to your parents talk about the 80s and you're like, but I think it's cool. Like sometimes when like older relatives talk about their experiences, it's like, oh wow, like it's crazy to think about like not that many generations back was there not women's equality or racial equality and all of that. Like think
gay
about how
marriage
lucky
happened
we are.
like fucking yesterday.
Yeah,
bitch.
when we were in
like
middle
literally
school.
like not that, bro. Do you remember sitting outside the Boston Common with me and us having a very similar conversation to what we were right now? Like we were like,
no,
our
I don't
parents
remember.
were alive in 1960 and that's when Malcolm X and
Yes!
blah blah blah. I remember we were like popping off about time.
I don't remember the conversation, but I feel
And I'm gonna like spoil a little bit of something, but what's his name? Face Tat? Who is it?
Face Tap Philosophy.
Yeah, he has this like whole theory that like because of like all the shit that we're talking about with how quickly everything changed with technology, like not just social media, but like all the access to each other, like all that shit. Like he thinks like millennials and Gen Z are like so nostalgic and all this shit because we feel like we're older than we actually are.
Yes.
Because it's like that actually wasn't even that long ago, you know?
Right, because we have such a false perception because it's the same thing that they do with like how they made pictures of the Civil War black and white. And this is, again, why everything is so important, guys. And it's so scary, the times that we're living in. Like, I try to operate like it's not fucking happening. I still have not figured out what to do with myself politically because I'm not happy with how I am engaging currently. Like, I need to do something. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, the shit is scary right now, especially with them banning critical race theory and, like, everything else going on. But, like, they are taking pictures of the civil rights movement and making them black and white when there were colored pictures during that time period to make it look like it was older than it was. And like there's a lot of conspiracy theories about that stuff, but a lot of it is also like true and valid, but a lot of it is also just because of the shift in technology. I mean, watch any of your parents try to interact on TikTok or a phone or the way that they text, and it's like immediately like, oh my God, you're ancient.
And then watch a fucking 2-year-old know how to do it perfectly.
Right.
Because
it's
just like the
gap.
monkeys were adapting
Yes.
the thumbs. Like,
Yes.
what if our thumbs grow to be like tapper
No,
big?
we're going to end up more like this. Like
hunched
over. Yeah.
Ew. It's going to
Ew,
be
we
like
gotta,
broken
like,
back
shoulders
baby doll, like America's
Yeah.
Next Top Model.
Oh my God.
Like that pose. Remember
Yup.
that? So iconic. But anyways, we're going to go back to our boy Cole Hastings and just like he provided some stats from this site. And basically like just kind of confirming like 15% of Gen Z feeling that they'd prefer to think about the past than the future, and millennials aren't much further behind. 14% of them would rather think about the past. And then also Gen Z and millennials are driving nostalgia in the media too. Gen Z are in the lead again with 50% of this generation feeling nostalgic for types of media, followed by 47% of millennials. And considering Gen Z were born sometime between 97 to 2006, 37% say they feel nostalgic for the 90s, a decade when some were very young and others weren't even born yet. Like, I always feel like me saying, like, I'm a 90s baby. Like, bitch,
Like,
you were
we're
fucking...
at that 98.
By 2 years old, it was 2000.
Right,
You know what I
like-
mean? Like, can I even really say that? But, like, at the same time, like I did watch, like, we watched shows from the 90s, like, in the 2000s. Obviously, like, just because it's now 2000, it was just the 90s 2 seconds ago. Like,
Right.
it takes a second to switch.
To catch up.
But it's almost like you want to say you're from the 90s, like in a weird way.
But
Do you
I
feel
was
like that?
watching a TikTok of like, I think they were on a high school campus, college campus, whatever, and they were like, what do you consider old? And they were like, anyone before 2002 is old, born before 2002. If you were born in the 90s, you're ancient. And I'm like, that makes me feel old as fuck. Like time
Fuck
is
them.
continuing on.
And no, and that is on the
Infantilization.
of Gen Z. Like, it's bad. Those bitches think like it's like 23 is old.
Yeah.
I saw a quote. I sent it to you on Instagram. It was like,
Yes, you
23 is
did.
not old. 30 doesn't mean your
Like-
life's over. Because I'm like trying to remind myself.
Because youth. But this quote is reminding me and making me put the pieces together. You know how we are entering a conservative era right now?
Yep.
Which
Yeah.
is a romanticization of what are they doing? The
past.
past. Isn't that trippy to think about the conservative, like, aspects of nostalgia? Because it's like you are rose-colored glasses thinking about a time when gay marriage wasn't legal. Or
And
what, like,
thought
it,
life was so much better. When,
right. And like certain things were like, I miss a time where people we went on dates with had to court us through the telephone, like the home phone. Like I would much rather
Like
talk
my
to
grandma's
a human
love
voice.
story fucking eats down. Like today would never.
Right, like
Ever.
that, like the human connection shit, but also like us just romanticizing that and like romanticizing the whole era doesn't help us progress in the future, and we need to fucking progress right now.
And Fiji, you just said the whole point of the fucking episode. Exactly. It's like, because it's like, is nostalgia a bad thing? No, it's what you just said.
Yeah.
Like, it's like both things can be true. Great job,
Yeah.
babe. I'm super
Thank
proud
you.
of you.
I'm on it.
We're going to talk a little bit more about face tap philosophy. And so his YouTube video is also fantastic. Like two men, and I was like, fucking, like,
Yes.
let's fucking go. And so he started with saying, you know, why are we so obsessed with the past, our childhood, no matter what had happened? Why do we see it in such a glorious light? And just this overall glorification of the 90s and the 2000s. And I'll put some on the screen, but those videos we talked about before, like POV, it's the 2000s and you just got home from school and you have like a fucking Pop-Tart or whatever.
Yup.
Like, and it's very just like, it's giving, and everyone in the comments is like obsessing over how much better that time was. And it's like, at the end of the day, he argued, like we are saying, every generation longs for the time before, but Gen Z and millennials take it to a new level. And it's also like with these nostalgic videos, there's like the fuzzy graininess of the video.
Yes, the
that is
filters.
kind of like nostalgia within itself, not even what's actually happening on the video, but just like how it looks. And it's like everybody loves to like imitate that quality, like even though we have great quality now, like you can have fucking triple HD, whatever the fuck, but we still want that because it's like 80s, 90s, 2000s, even though a lot of us never even lived in the 80s or 90s, you
Well,
know?
and it's trippy now being like an older Gen Z zillennial, like right on the cusp, and watching like, remember early Instagram, like the early Instagram filters, like the
So
2010s.
cute.
Like there's actually a party
like
in Atlanta.
Valencia.
Yeah, there's actually a party in Atlanta tonight called 2010s again. Like there's a whole like 2010s like reimagining, like celebrating, like all of that, where people will go dressed as the 2010s. And it's like, I was in middle school, like we were in the Victoria's Secret swagged out
Ugg slippers.
Ugg slippers. We grew up in middle school in that era, and I feel like the trend cycles, it's usually every 20 years, but it's shortening because of social media, because you watch your older sisters, your older cousins wear that type of fashion, and you want to be cool like them, so you want to replicate it.
And it's like back when we were in middle school, it wasn't like outfit of the day on TikTok.
Yeah.
Now it's like middle schoolers is like, gotta post your outfit of the day, gotta be wearing Gucci, fucking Prada, fucking all this shit when you're like 12 years old. Like, and it's like, oh, I hear a lot of like millennials talk about like, damn, like why is Gen Z so fucking pretty? And it's like the
makeup.
filters, like the plastic surgery, like the whole thing. It's like, yeah, like I felt like we could just be loose. Like we weren't always filming. Like now, if I was in high school, I'd be like, get ready with me before my class. Like, ew. Like I'm just like, that's crazy. Like we
didn't have the face filters. I was always an Instagram bitch though. Like I was always Instagramming my outfits and taking selfies. Like I remember like I was a freshman on the varsity soccer team, so I was the youngest, like one of the only two freshmen, and all the senior girls would make fun of me and be like, oh, like she loves to take selfies, like she's on Instagram, because I was that bitch that would take the outfit pics and like whatever, because I just liked to do that shit. But like looking at it now is a complete amateur level to what it has become. You know what I'm saying? But like I looked at it as a way to express yourself back then. I wanted to be a Tumblr girl down. Like I was
me too.
obsessed.
I was just gonna bring up Tumblr because like back when I was like on there like looking for girlfriends, like I would try to take like really gay like pictures of me like in beanies and be like, guys,
you in the beanies. You were like, I'm
down.
gay, I promise.
This is all I got. Like, can't you see
Me
it?
in my
Like,
beanie against the world.
no, literally
Voila.
that. I like low key when I first came out, like I wasn't like a mask, but I had a moment of being
Yes,
like
I saw
a
those
little
like
bit
STEM.
like Right. Like I was like trying.
Do you
that's
remember
all
that
I
picture
thought.
of me in or high school with the beanie on, and I showed
Oh my
you?
God.
Because
Yeah.
I had an
And I,
era
like,
where I
died.
was like that too. Like I was always like athletic-ish. I don't know, but it was like a trendy thing at that time period too. Like the skater girl
It was.
beanie
Yeah, like the
look.
Van sneakers
The
with
Vans.
the jogger pants,
Yes.
bitch.
Yup.
I'd be like, I eat pussy. Like, what
Yo.
are you guys doing? Anyways, but he talked a lot about Gen Z. In this part, it was like he talked a lot of it about like Gen Z is like has a lot of mass consumerism cosplay, and like arguably this is like post modernism times, and echoing this idea we see so much on the internet. And we're also living in a time that there's a collapse of meaning. And we talk about this all
Like
the time.
meta.
Like how TikTok takes shit and everyone has different opinions, which is not a bad thing. But it's like there's a collapse of meaning. Like we're living in a time where it feels like no one can agree on anything. You know what I mean? And like that's really scary. And like he says, social media has democratized our individual realities and how there's a niche for everyone. Like people are so obsessed with like simulating some idea or concept through their cores or aesthetics. And like arguably he said this is a post modern thing. And then this is kind of T-clock it. He said like even how people like view Y2K fashion, not everyone, but like a lot of Y2K fashion was like pretty ugly. Like not ugly, but it was like a lot. And like these are some examples that like he put on. Like look at Ashley Tisdale. Like y'all bitches are not wearing that when you say Y2K.
I think that's cute.
I do too, but I'm like,
Yeah.
like, looking back, like it is like to the general eye, like there's a lot going on. Like if
Yeah.
you don't live in like a major city or like whatever.
Yeah.
But like people, it's like it's inspired by it, but it's like a more polished version of it, which just falls
Right,
in
it's
line with like the
recreating
rose
it.
color, and you're like,
It's like but that's why I feel like especially with fashion, it's like inspired by Y2K and adapt, because that is all that fashion is, right? Like when you think about Vivienne Westwood and stuff like that, like she's
love.
taking like
Yeah.
old plaid prints and old like piratey looks and stuff and making it modern. So it's like to a degree all fashion is nostalgia repurposed in the present day.
which is so interesting, right?
Yeah, because it's like it's
crazy.
same with art and writing and all of that, because it's like you can only build off of what you know and then repurpose it. So like we need an aspect of nostalgia to keep fucking going. And like the whole idea of like the meta-ness that you're talking about, where it's like everybody has a perspective, that there's no perspective and no meaning. Like it reminds me of like when I first tripped off acid, right? Like you have this moment where
That's
you
what it
trip
feels like.
right? Like where you trip off acid, where you're like, oh my God, like we all share a consciousness. And like when you're tripping, like you like relate to another person and you're just like, no, like I get you, like in the sense that like you are a human being in your own body experiencing your own view, as I am in my own body experiencing my own view. And even though that's different, we're sharing a collective consciousness. And so it's like the idea that nothing means
we are
anything.
sharing a collective consciousness. That's what I believe
Right.
how the world was formed, with like a consciousness that like spread out.
And
to
it's
be.
and I believe, because they proved that like if you touch a molecule, like another molecule will feel it. Like there is an interconnectedness of things, but at the same time, like everyone can have a warped ass perception of the same events based off of what they've been through and what they're coming into the situation as, and based off of what they hear. Like say me and you
because
are
that's
at a
all
group
we know
dinner.
how to do.
Right.
Yeah.
If me and you are at a group dinner with 10 other people and a fight occurs, I could be at one side of the table listening to 3 friends. You could be at the other side of the table listening to 3 other friends. We're both going to have different views of what the fuck transpired based off of who we were sitting next to. Like that is just life. So it's like, what is the truth? I don't know. We can only create a truth through collective consciousness. Like,
and I feel like knowing that, like as like fucking like insane as it is, like it does make me feel a sense of peace, where it's like,
yes,
there's a reason for everything, and that reason is typically where it's like that person, it's just their perspective because of what they've been through. Like if
Right.
someone wrongs you, oh, well, it's just because, that's just how the, like
Right.
it's like, and it's like, yeah, that's really cool, babe. And I honestly like, don't think I'll ever trip acid, but like, that's really interesting. Like it's like, because I remember when you first tripped acid, you were like, bitch, you have to do it. And then later, you were like,
and then
actually
later I
don't
was
do
like,
it.
no, because I do feel like in a lot of ways for my mental health, tripping acid fixed me. But then the people that I was with both went through psychosis. So like, like there's that.
Right. It's layered for
yeah,
sure.
it's layered.
But we're going to get more into this idea of nostalgia and creativity. We're already talking about it. We're going to talk about film, TV, music, and fashion. I did include architecture in the polls. I did cut that. I was aiming a little too high, guys. But I just saw this TikTok about like 2000s houses. And I was like, yeah, damn, they look so much better. Like whatever. Like I don't really like modern architecture.
I like old.
I like older too. But anyways, we're not going to talk about that. And the whole nostalgia and creativity came to mind because of this TikTok. So let's watch it now, please.
I recently saw something about how our generation, I'm 22 by the way, isn't creating anything new and is basically just like recycling old trends when it comes to fashion, watching old shows. And I resonated with that so much because I'm not even gonna lie, I am that girl who's like, I wish I was a teenager in the 90s. Like all I watch is TV shows from the 90s, like Sex and the City, Girlfriends, Friends. Like that's my jam. And I feel like today's shows are just kind of crappy. Like I don't know how else to explain it, but like I genuinely prefer things from the 90s and 2000s a lot more. I kind of feel like that was a simpler time. And I think that's what's so weird about it is like we are reminiscing about a time that we were not a part of and that we don't really actually know what it felt like or what it was like. In the 90s and 2000s, they had their own struggles, and a lot of the things that we reminisce about and think were so much better in the 90s, really, that wasn't really the case, especially if you were a woman or a black woman, a dark-skinned woman at that. Things were probably not as good as you think they were, you know what I mean? So I just thought that was so interesting. And in terms of new things not being created in the fashion and entertainment space, I genuinely think it has to do with a lack of creativity. I think that our generation is facing that because of social media. Like everything always boils down to social media, but it's like a lot of us are not creating, we're just consuming. And so we're not able to cultivate new things for us. We're not able to be innovative and invent new things because we're so busy just consuming old things and trying to like make it cool again. So I don't know. That's kind of sad when you think about it, but it's so true.
Okay, the first thing in like talking about how we're only recreating things from like past generations, part of me agrees, part of me disagrees, just because we also have to factor in the whole aspect of tech. And like I know it's like hard to like put tech into the aspect of like creating, but when we think about like social media platforms and even like Tesla and like AI in certain degrees, like they are imagining a future that never existed before. And so like that, and I do think that is an aspect of creativity, unfortunately, even though I would like to cut like people like Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk out of the creative person field because I don't agree with them on so many things. Like I think that is still a creative thing. And even when she talks about clothes, like I don't think it's like, I think every designer took from the past and made do with that because of what they saw their parents wear, what they saw like older generations wear, and then like repurpose things. So I think that is how creativity like moves. But the one thing from that video that I really, really resonated with was when she was talking about how we're consuming and not creating. And I feel this way so much, and which is partly why I want to start the book The Artist Way, and I just want to like create more. And I'm proud that like me and you have figured out a way to consume content and then also create with it, with these like episodes, you know, and us like asking these questions and talking about these things. And I want to like replicate this in time by myself and not just like with you when I have to for the episode for the podcast. But it's like I consume so much content constantly, or half consume it because I'm watching a show while I'm scrolling on my phone, like us talking about that show, The Adolescents or whatever. Like I wasn't even watching it because I'm on my phone and I need to actually sit down and consume that show
so slow.
in its entirety because it's a good show, and I've read about it now at this point and listened to stuff about it. But it's like, yes, I do feel like the attention span of our generation is so short because of social media, because there's so much to consume, trend cycles so quickly that it's like we like snapshot create. Like, which I do think, like, I create in terms of, like, oh, I'm creating my outfit that day. I'm creating a podcast episode. But it's nothing that I'm thinking about deeply. And, I mean, the episodes, yes. Like, I'll put that out of it. But, like, certain things, it's, like, it's impulse and it's like this. And it's not like I'm sitting down and, like, thinking about the long-term effects of what I'm creating.
Right. Oh my God, I know. And like the long term, like look at how many fucking topics we fucking like, and now what? You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like crazy.
And we're building off each other, but it's like, when are we going to do the book? Or when are we going to like sit down and make this a lasting piece of art that is like longer? And it is a lasting piece of art. Like I think these episodes, people will go back and listen. But it is like, but we are chasing an algorithm, chasing a business, chasing a lifestyle that isn't how people used to operate when they created art.
Yeah, and I also feel like, honestly, dude, like from everything we've talked about, I do feel like, especially like for the fashion and the movies and like all this stuff, like I feel like it's so nostalgic. People are just like as great as social media and the technology is, I feel like people do genuinely miss when like times were like simpler.
Slower.
Which is like makes them like want to dress like that again. Like, I don't know. And like, cause I fully like believe like what you're saying. It's like everything inspired something. Like this outfit came from something, you know? Like even if it was like organic, you just did it. It's like you've seen shit before. Like it's like, of course, like fashion, media companies, all these people are going to like really like heavily rely on nostalgia because people go crazy for it. It's like a drug. Like I didn't put this in the episode, I don't think, but like Twinkie sales in the pandemic, they like went back to their OG branding from the 70s and made like fucking like $10 billion because people were so depressed and just wanted to like have an OG Twinkie real quick.
It reminds me of even today. So guys, I did a side quest and was modeling at a car show, and all the cars are like old handmade cars, like beautiful cars from like, one of them was 100 years old. And so many people stopping by the car show were like, oh wow, like they don't make cars like this anymore. It's all fast manufactured. Like, you know what I'm saying? They don't put this much handcrafted detail into what people were making. And it's like that with everything. Like we are so driven by algorithms, more capitalism, robotic tendencies, that it's like we don't take the time to sit down, create something, breathe into it, like be proud of it, like revel in it.
Right.
It's all like beltline manufacture, more, you know?
I know. But it's like then to think about like in the 2040s, like are people just not going to be nostalgic of the 2020s because they were so horrible?
Think we need to like, but I think that's the way things are swinging right now, and especially with conservatism, and hopefully it swings the way that it's supposed to with conservatism, where people realize that the real enemy is capitalism and white supremacy and all of those things, where it's like, okay, we don't need to go back to a time period that was more conservative in that way. We need to go back to a time period that did take its time with things and did like find community and find nuance in situations and like focus on human connection and not just like a crazy headline that gets your attention, like that sort of thing.
And this article from the Medium just like echoes everything. Like nostalgia and creativity are closely tied together. Most creativity is born from nostalgia. And then they talk about that same idea of like when you're a child, like there's no rules, there's no limits. Like that is what like creativity is. And because we're so nostalgic about those times, like blah, 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 like they're very closely linked. And we asked you guys directly, do you think nostalgia increases or decreases creativity? And 85% said increases and 15% said decreases. I think like, again, what you literally said before, like I think it does increase creativity. I think it can, but we can't get stuck in the past. We have to want to move forward
create from it.
Like,
and that's the
both.
thing. If you're using it as inspiration to create something that is different, like do that, you know, but don't get stuck there.
Don't get stuck there, because then it's like we're never going to push forward. And that's what a lot of the YouTubers were saying about this same topic too. And I did find this article called Nostalgia's Creative Paradox, Rebirth or Decline. And they had like a lot of interesting questions throughout it. And basically the whole like sort of paper was about, is nostalgia a muse or a roadblock for creativity? They said today everything feels like it's leaning on the past to capture our attention in this era flooded with revivals, sequels, and remixes. Are we celebrating culture or merely recycling it? So we'll start with fashion. And the article talked about like there's a lot of reintroducing iconic trends from the past and igniting cultural conversations. For example, when Miu Miu debuted. Whatever. It's low-rise mini skirt in 2022. It's set up a wave of Y2K inspired looks, prompting deals like Diesel and Mugler to follow suit. So it's like, yes, there's sorry, not Mugler.
Mugler. I'm pretty sure.
Mugler. Okay. But it's like, it's not just platforms like TikTok and Instagram amplifying these trends. It's literally like huge fashion brands, like the fucking runways, bitch. Like, it's not just like,
and it's capitalism to a degree too, because it's like, okay, we know this did well back then. If we just like hit on the marketing nerve of nostalgia and re-inspire this, reignite this, they will relate and they will purchase because they love this time period. Millennials have more money now, so they can purchase, you know.
I'm not gonna lie, like I was gonna do a whole section on marketing, but it was just way too much. But like literally, like it's like companies right now hire like psychologists to like put nostalgia into their marketing. Like it's like fucking everything. It's crazy. But this article proposed some questions like, in a world of nano trends and extreme innovation, is there a middle ground? By endlessly recycling aesthetics, are we losing the creative edge that drives fashion forward? But as we repeatedly circle back to familiar aesthetics, it's worth asking if fashion is prioritizing nostalgia over genuine creative evolution. And like, I don't think it is. Like, I think like a lot of fashion is nostalgia, but it's still interesting. Like, is there a middle ground? Like, I don't know. Like,
well, and what is considered fashion? Because I think like brands like Shein and stuff like that, it's like where it's so capitalistic, so money produced, and it's not the quality of the nostalgia either. Like, we have sacrificed quality on a lot of things too. So it's like, I think that part. But like, if you're thrifting, I love to find a piece from the 80s. Like, yes, bitch, like down.
And then like make a whole look
and make it your own present look. Yeah.
And that's your favorite fashion for That's
your favorite. Which is our next question. I'll do the poll. We asked you guys, what's your favorite decade for fashion? And the top one that won was 90s, 59%. Then we have 80s at 18%, 2000s at 15%, and 2010s to now at 8%.
8%.
I'm surprised.
So
I'm
sad.
shocked. I'm honestly shocked that 90s won. Maybe it's because a lot of 90s babies in the house. But I would have thought that 2000s would have won, or 2010s, because like it's so popular. I
know. I agree. Like, Y2K is fucking everything.
Yeah.
Like, it's that girl, like, for sure. And I love it. I did vote for 90s. Like, I definitely just, like, a lot of those, like, 90s show, like, how the girls dressed. Like, a lot of my fashion, like, inspo for loving the 90s does come from television.
Yeah.
Not, like, models
your
that I
style
knew.
reminds me of 90s to me. Your style gives very 90s. Yeah.
Babe, thank you, babe. And I created these Canva graphics to just show you guys like all the decades, like whatever. So it's just like super cool, and like 90s is definitely my fave, but 80s eats down. Like,
I love a shoulder pad moment. I love the hair. I love the glam of the 80s because it was the crack era. It was the cocaine
and
era.
Like, when was Kurt Cobain or whatever?
He was the 90s. He was like, and I love a lot of grunge styles too.
The grunge is
huge. I love to mix them.
Yeah.
And like, what
is
that?
And that's what
is
I think creativity is.
Yeah.
No, I think it's
like
good.
Like 2000s low-rise pants with like an 80s shoulder pad blazer. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, shit like that where you're mixing. And I think that's on thrifting.
Yeah. And I think mixing and thrifting and doing all of that is like 2020's fashion. You know what I mean? Like, like I literally do. Like, what would you even say is 2020 fashion? Like exactly, like cheap, like all pink, like sets from Shein.
What is
like
2020? It's a recreation
like for celebrities
of all
in the general public, it's like different things. But like, it's
no, you know what I think 2020's fashion is like Playboy Cardi. Like, what is it called? E-girl? Come back to, no, like E-girl, yes, but no.
Yeah, E-girl like had a moment.
Dark, opium fashion.
Okay.
I think that is 2020's fashion. I mean, a segment of it, but there's very many subcultures. I think opium is very 2020's to me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I love that. No, honestly, you're the one to ask because I was thinking about it. I'm like, what's in right now? I don't fucking know. Isn't it just like 2000s clothes? Like,
right.
whatever.
And Ed Hardy has made a resurgence too.
Oh,
like
yeah.
that's an old.
I know
yeah.
who that is.
Yep.
Let's talk about movies now, though. There's like, I'm a big like Pixar nerd, like Disney, whatever, and like a lot of like OG fans are like, you know, we don't need another Toy Story. We don't need another fucking Incredibles. Like, we want like
We're
new
good.
stuff. And it definitely, and it's like Disney's live action, like all these live action where it's like they have their like cartoons and it's like real people now. And it's like the era of remakes. And again, it's like the nostalgia. It's like watching the new Lion King, like Mufasa. Like, bitch, I cannot fucking wait to watch that shit.
I
like,
don't give a fuck.
but a lot of people are like,
It's too
and like
much.
from a marketing perspective, a business perspective, it's like, we know everyone loves Toy Story. We know even if they're so annoyed there's another one because we don't need another one, you're still going to
They're
go
gonna go
see it
watch
and
it.
try. Whereas a new idea is like, who's going to sign off on that? Like, you know what I mean? It's like,
but bring the new. I'm of the
No, I
mentality
feel
of
it.
like I'm sick of these cash grab remake blah blah blah.
I
Yeah.
know it's so much right now. And it's like the article said like, yeah, these reboots will like make you feel all warm and fucking fuzzy, but it's also like lacking originality and also talking about the creative risks about new ideas. Like the media companies are very like, you know, they don't want to make that risk. And this overall, you know, indicates a preference for the familiar, risking a cultural landscape where true innovation struggles to emerge. And Daddy Cole in his YouTube video talked a lot about like the whole like the psychologist company's marketing thing, okay? And like how like 90s styles are not only like on TikTok but like actually on the runways. Like it really is like having a moment. But the most recent example of nostalgia movie that was crazy was, you guessed it, bitch,
Barbie.
the Barbie movie.
Yup.
And it boosted Mattel's products by 125 motherfucking percent.
But
Imagine
it was
writing
a
down that.
reimagining of Barbie because Barbie was not feminist.
It was, but it's still nostalgic because it's Barbie and they had all the OG Barbies. Like if you're an OG fan, you're like, oh my God, there's like,
Yeah.
like Barbie male girl or whatever. And after 17 days of release, the movie made over $1 billion. And the art and Cole says, like, all of this nostalgia marketing can serve as a warning to us that the present moment might very well be objectively worse than other time periods, even if we take out the fact that the past always feels better than it actually was. Like, he argues, like, nah, shit's really fucking bad right now. But I don't know. And I also think a lot of people are like, where did rom-coms go? Like, I recently, took like 2 days of a class of like rom-com writing like a couple months ago. Like, remember when I did that?
Yes, but
I like didn't finish it. I didn't finish it, but like we talked a lot about that, like how it's like rom-coms are like they don't make them like they used to.
Yeah.
Unpopular opinion.
You should do an
though.
episode. I have a topic for that.
Okay, down.
I watched a YouTube video essay about
And
it.
you'll
so
let me
maybe
steal
one
it?
of us should. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll give it to you.
But like hot
Take.
difference of opinion.
Hot
What's that?
take.
Thank you. Hot take. I don't really fuck with the 2000s, 90s rom-coms
I mean, they're sexist.
that everyone's so obsessed with and like miss so much. But not even that. Like, yes.
I like some of
but
them.
I like older media.
I
But
like 80s.
that's crazy. I mean, I get it. But we
Yeah.
asked you guys, what's your favorite decade for movies? And 37% said the 2000s, 30% said the 90s, and 25% said 80s. And again, only 8% said now. And my favorite movies are from now.
Really?
Like, honestly. Like, back when I was on my, like, Emerson shit, like, Jordan Peele is, like, my favorite
Okay,
director.
yeah. Jordan Peele did some
Hands
good stuff.
down.
But, like,
I don't love any, like, I'm, like, there's no,
I
like.
just think the acting was better and more believable in, like, past generations. I don't
Yeah.
know. Maybe
No,
it's because
that's
I didn't
real.
live then.
It's just different, like, opinions, but obviously everyone feels that way.
It's like
nobody
everyone
voted
talking
for
about
now.
like Instagram face or like whatever when they're watching like period dramas and they can't get past the fact that like the main actress has Botox. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we can't, like, there's like a level of like suspension of disbelief that like I just can't get past
Right.
now.
No, suspension of disbelief is
It's
everything.
too CGI. Like, it's too, I don't know.
CGI, that's real. That's super real. No, I get that. And then lastly, real quick, we're going to talk about music. We didn't ask you guys what your favorite decade was because, like, I fucked up. But, like, I feel like my favorite decade for music is, like, I don't know. Like maybe, like, 90s or now.
90s, yeah.
Yeah. But, like, literally just, like, The Boy Is Mine by Brandy and Monica, I feel like.
Okay.
Like,
I
when I
like
think
Nirvana.
of 90s R&B, that's, yeah. But anyways, what do you like?
Nirvana, like grunge.
Nirvana.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, like what a time, you know?
Right.
But I also like love SZA so much and like she's
Yeah.
here right now, you know? But music, the article said the whole thing with music is everyone's sampling. They're sampling songs, they're remixing. And the article argued this has become a shortcut to commercial success. Like even like Doechie's song, The Anxiety, it's like mixed with something else. Like it's just saying like that's very like
I've heard
trendy
this.
right now. And like, is this genuine? Like the same sort of question. Like it's all the same.
But
it's
I like because like
Yeah.
a lot of hyper pop and like my like dad and my brother both like a lot of classic rock and like my brother plays guitar and like real instruments. You see what I'm saying? But like we are in a tech age. I like a lot of hyper pop. I like a lot, and I still love all those old like bands. Like I grew up on all that shit. Like both my dad and my brother are huge music nerds. But I'm like, we need to also appreciate how that stuff is repurposed into music today with all of the things that you're able to do in Ableton and GarageBand
Right.
and like all that stuff. So like I think it's cool.
Yeah.
I
Right.
fuck with it.
Yeah, but it's like essentially the whole article was just like with fashion, we're recycling trends. With movies, we're doing remakes. With music, we're sampling. But like I fuck with it too. Like I don't think it's a problem.
An FD signifier talked about in one of his episodes or video essays about Diddy and how Diddy kind of like created the sample thing because they knew that it would be hot club songs because it was a beat that had already done well. So I think
It's the marketing shit too.
And it's the same with the TikTok sounds to a degree where they mash up two songs that have already done well. And like I have a really hard time finding new music that I fuck with. Like I will find small underground artists and like really bump their shit, but like yeah, I think there is a certain degree of which it's like, okay, how much can we replay the past? Let's create something new.
Right. And I do agree with that too. But it's also like with music, it's like sometimes like with a mashup or like a sample like that, it like keeps your attention more. It's like we get so bored so quickly.
Yes.
It's like, ooh, I need a
to know the
nostalgic
lyrics
twist.
or something
right.
like that.
It's like a lot. So it's like, yeah, but it's like, yeah, all of this is just because the world is fucking changing. Like what you're saying about technology is like so fucking real. Like the shit we're like able to do now, like wasn't always possible. So no fucking shit. We're going to go crazy on
like
the fucking.
They couldn't, like before Nirvana couldn't really like mash up Beethoven like with their lyrics. So they didn't even have the ability to do that.
What
they
how
have
cunt
had,
would
they
that
had the
be?
technology. Like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? But like, could Beethoven have influenced the chords that a certain band played on the guitar? Yes. Like it was just a different way that it went about.
There's no way he didn't. Like Beethoven like ate down every single time.
Like Beethoven.
I'm like kind of drunk.
Same.
Okay, guys. So that brings us to the end of the episode. So we are going to wrap up with what we feel wet, dry, and maybe still a little bit confused about nostalgia, because it's okay to still be confused. I'm definitely wet about all the fuzzy and warm feelings you get from nostalgia, and also in the ways that nostalgia can be motivational. Like that whole thing you talked about, that it was like, yeah, like I miss the time when like I was a dancer and I was like doing that all the time. But it was also like so accessible to me and like it was right there. And now it's like I have to go out of my way to like do that again. Yeah. So it's a little bit harder, but it's like I'm being nostalgic about that because I need that. And that's my like body and brain's way of telling me like, you really liked that. Like, let's do that again, you know? And I don't know, definitely wet about thinking about like sort of like that whole last idea about creativity, because there really are so many articles and like TikToks and just like videos out there about how like nostalgia is like killing us, like societal decline, bitch. Like we're not moving forward. And I do think if you get stuck in that place of being like nothing will ever be the same again and it's very gloomy, like it can lead towards that. But overall, it's not hurting us that bad. And I do think it is a main reason for creativity, and I think that's like a beautiful thing. But I don't know, as much as like it all kind of freaks me out where it's like we're in this society where there's like a collapse of meaning, we're all feeling nostalgic because the world sucks, like it's all like very dark, but at the same time it's like we're all feeling it. It's not a singular experience, so it's like we're not doing anything wrong, like we're just fucking seeking comfort, and I'm obviously wet about that. So.
Yes. Yeah, honestly, same, bitch. Like same about like being nostalgic about the past, but then like being able to repurpose that into the future, create new art, create new ways that you could make your life better. What am I lacking from the past that I could bring into my life now? Like whether it be sports, whether it be dance, whether it be, you know, maybe you need more love, more community, more of those types of things. Like that is a very wet thing to think about. I'm also wet about the ways that like the past does inspire creativity. I mean, I love thrifting. I love finding a piece from like the 80s, the 90s, whatever, and repurposing it to be like attractive by today's standards, you know, and doing all of that. So I think that is very wet, and I think that is a form of creativity.
I feel like the driest part of like the whole thing is like the romanticization of nostalgia and like us not really being able to fully trust ourselves because we do look at the past through rose-colored tinted glasses. And it's like you have to work really hard to like uncover what actually happened, and you have to like catch yourself when you're doing that, which is hard because it's fun to romanticize. Like it really is. Like we're both very daydreamy type of people. Like I love to daydream. I love to like think about scenarios in my head, like potential scenarios I want to happen, or like things from the past that I feel nostalgic about. And I think it's just like the biggest detrimental thing about nostalgia for me is just like me feeling like I'll never feel the way I did again. And it's just not true. Like it's like you're lying to yourself, and also it wasn't even really that good. You know? Like so it's like what? And so you kind of got to like break the glass in that sense. Like being delusional is okay sometimes, but I do think being too delusional, being stuck in the past, constantly romanticizing it is very, very bad. Like I do not think it's a good thing. It definitely hasn't like served me in my life to like really run with that and rule by it. And yeah, that's really it.
Yeah, I think same. Honestly, like I'm also dry about the whole conservatism about it, because it's like how we can think back and romanticize these eras where a lot of political social change was so behind, but we romanticize certain aspects of it. And I think especially in today's present time period where we are heading into a conservative era, I feel like we're misguided in the things that we're romanticizing, and we can't forget the things that we have moved forward in and pay attention to those, even though some aspects of a lot of aspects of conservatism are romanticizing when things were more behind, when gay people didn't have rights, when there wasn't racial equality. I mean, not that there is now, but like, you know, all of those sorts of things. So I'm dry about like conservative nostalgia, because I think it's a very bad and problematic thing.
Yeah.
And also dry about the personal nostalgia and the sadness and all of that I feel, but I feel like I'm going to save that for confused. So.
Okay. Okay. I feel like confused. I mean, the biggest like confusing thing for me is like when we got like really matrixy in the episode, and we were like, what does anything like even mean? Like we can't trust ourselves, and that's why like we have to like rely on people to like provide insight about certain experiences sometimes.
Yes.
Like even me asking you in this episode, like I wasn't happy during that time because like I kind of remember, but it's like I choose to just like not, because like why would I want like my first love to like be so like hard? I think like the love itself was beautiful, but it's like, I like completely cloud that out. And I was confused about that. But after reading about all the science shit behind it, it's like it's literally like our brains are just doing it.
You can't help it.
Like for survival, and to feel like motivated to like find love again one day, which I do feel like that. So I guess it's working, you know? We've been down, but you always get the fuck back up.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, I wanted to like really think about like, how does nostalgia serve us? Like, I feel like I knew the positives going into this episode, but like how like, you know, the negatives of nostalgia and like being stuck in the past. It's like that I feel like I'm like scared to even admit to myself like how real of a problem that is for me.
Yeah.
Because I'm so scared of the future. And if I'm not going to live in the past, it's like clearly that's the alternative. And I don't want to do that. Like I do kind of, but like not really. I just don't want to get hurt in the end if I have these like big dreams.
Yes.
Like I don't fucking know. But yeah, so that is definitely confusing.
Yeah, same. Honestly, I feel like I'm very confused. I mean, if you guys like can't tell, like you guys know the real me, like to a degree, because I'm so open and honest in these podcast
and
episodes.
raw.
I mean, like,
yeah.
I'm in this weird, really weird time period about my mental health, about my trauma, all of those things. And I think like tying nostalgia with trauma is a very confusing place for where I'm at right now, because I have so much romanticization of my trauma, you know, and not just like the trauma in the aspect of like the abuse, but in the time period. And so that makes things very complicated for me in the same way that like dark romance and like those episode topics that we've talked about in the past. You know, I am in such a strange place. So this episode like hit really deep for me in so many aspects. And I'm just fucking confused about a fucking lot of it. Like, I don't really know what advice to provide for y'all. Like me and Autumn, we're talking about that off camera. It's like again, we're not the advice podcast. We are the like, here's a new problem to spiral about podcasts, because that's how we fucking
But like, it's fun. Yeah.
But it's fun. But like, yeah, nostalgia, trauma, those are two things that are top of brain, and Fiji is currently confused and spiraling about. So like,
and I think it just complicates it so much further, because every trauma is different. Like, you're never going to find that like right or wrong answer. It's like, because every situation is different.
Right.
And like what we've talked about is more just like, you know, it's like, it's so different and it's so hard, but it's like, it's fucking so spot on, because I feel like those two things are like closely linked for everyone that has trauma, you know, and it's like you romanticize it in a way to like protect yourself. Like, it wasn't really that bad. Like, I'm okay.
Right. Because I'm stuck on it. Because I'm stuck on that period of life, and I feel like I can't go further.
Can't like move on from it.
But at the same time, like, I do believe in like what we talked about with what we're what about, is that like there's something from that time period that I need to bring to my present day. And like that relationship to me was a very creative relationship. It was a very like, he did inspire me in a lot of those ways. So like, and I'm hoping to bring that to my present day life and like all of that sort of stuff. So like, trying to look at it positively, but ultimately, like, guys, nostalgia is hard and it's fucking deep, and it ties so closely to your PTSD, to your trauma, and all of that stuff.
So like, obviously we had
holding
to cover
space for that.
Holding space for that for sure. But yeah, that is the end of the episode. If you guys liked it, please let us know in the comments below. You can comment on YouTube or Spotify. You can subscribe on YouTube and then follow us on other platforms like Spotify and Apple. We also would love to get some more ratings. It takes like 5 seconds. Give it to us good. You know what I mean? Like, whatever you think. You can even write something on Apple if you wanted to. And then lastly, we always ask you guys questions for every episode, because we truly do want like the community's input in what we're talking about, because clearly we don't know everything.
Right.
So please follow us on Instagram at So Wet So Dry. The O's are zeros, so you can see those weekly polls, submit stories for the episode, and we can talk about it right here in the episode.
We also have listener support. It's $9.99, $4.99, or 99 cents a month. It is in the bottom of the description of every single episode, no matter what platform you guys are listening on, but it is through Spotify. And yeah, we love you guys so fucking much, and we will catch you in the next episode. Bye. Bye.
So, what the fuck is gooning, and what is a gooner? Per usual, there's 75,001 different definitions of what this is on the internet. From what I have gathered, it is a combination of masturbation, edging, and porn addiction. Some might even argue creativity. But people also look at Kanye and say he's a gooner because of his horny and somewhat predatory behavior. There was something called a goonicide recently that was really just a sexual predator that got caught for what he did.
And God, you know, bless the situation, but he commits suicide, and people called it a goonicide when really he's just a predator. So all that to say, the girls were a little bit confused, but we got into it. New episode on gooning out now, bitch.